Welcome, everyone. It's great to be here this morning. I think we started off in a joyous way, which is going to be very appropriate for today. So welcome everybody joining online, and welcome. We have a few guests in the room. Marcus, I think Terry's going to share a little bit introduction for you a little bit later, and Jonathan Gross, good to have you here. Great to see your face. And maybe before our prayer time, you can kind of give us a little update on what's going on with you. I think there's some changes or some new things or something exciting is happening in this. Okay. We are going to hear about joy today, and I'm just going to get the man who is going to speak to us about joy, which I think is really one of the most challenges. It's all over Scripture. It's meant to be a part of our lives, and yet sometimes it's elusive. And so I'm looking forward to what Josh is going to share with us today. Josh, come on up here. Let me pray for you. I don't know why, but I just want to have you up here to pray for you. I'll take it. All right, Father, thanks for Josh, and we just pray for him as he shares what's deeply on his heart today, and what is so important part of our lives as followers of you, is something that brings us connection to you and power in our lives. And Lord, you have intended for us to have joy, and so we pray that today would be a fruitful part of bringing joy. So bless Josh, speak to us through him now by the prayers of Jesus' name. Amen. All right.
All right. So as a good presenter, I'm going to turn my back on you to start my PowerPoint. But in the meantime, I need you guys to partner up. We're going to do an activity at the very beginning, and you need a partner. So partner up with somebody. Yes. Yeah. All right, you guys found a partner? Okay. So this first step is the hardest one to do. I want you guys, without any facial expression, no expression in your voice, say to the person next to you, glad to be with you. Okay? No expression. Oh, no. As emotionless as possible. All right. Next, the second part is both of you close your eyes and with an expression in your voice, say, I'm glad to see you. All right. And now for the third one, with no words, only using your facial expressions, communicate to the other person, I'm glad to see you. All right. Good job, you guys. There's not a fourth one. But question, which one felt the least genuine? Which one had the least amount of impact? Number one. Which one had the most impact? Second. Okay. Some say the second, some say the third. Well, today we are talking about joy, and thank you to Lydia who brought a pen. It's prepared. And so there's a pen somewhere, says Terry. Thank you for inserting this in this one. So joy, understanding the neurological definition of joy has really profoundly changed the way that I live, the way that I interact with other people, the way that I understand that God sees me. And so I used to have a more, I'd say, theological definition about, God's ultimate glory over the time of the universe. But now as I understand it in a neurological way, I see it everywhere. And I experience it so much more than when I had before. And so I hope with this that you also can come to experience joy more frequently and in a more significant way as you understand its role in the brain and in our lives and in our emotional maturity. So what does joy mean? Obviously, the quote that I gave you guys to communicate to one another is a great definition. I'm glad to see you. When you're here, I feel better. When you walk into the room, it's Jeff's here. So happy that you're here, Jeff. It means that you delight in me. Not only do I delight in Jeff, but I see that Jeff is happy that I'm here too. And so there's this reciprocal action that happens between the two of us. As I'm happy that you're here, you're happy that I'm here. And it goes back and forth, amplifying the joy that we have. Joy is relational, first and foremost. We see this when we hold kids. We have our grandkids walk into the room, or kids, or our nieces and nephews, if you're in my boat. As soon as they walk into the room, you don't have to choose to be joyful. You don't have to choose for your day to light up. It just happens. And their day gets better when they see you. And so we light up when we see each other. Or even when we think about each other. My mom's not in the room, neither is my dad, but when I think about them, it brings me joy because of all the good things that they've brought into my life. And you can do so with your parents as well. Even if they passed away, the memory of them can still bring joy to your life. And then you're the apple of my eye. You're somebody who's very special to me. You're a precious person to me. All of these things are wrapped up in joy. But I think joy is not very well explained in words. Instead, I think it's better explained in the face. So this is the face of joy. The way that these two are looking at one another really explains what joy is. You can see that they are glad to be with each other, that they are the apples of each other's eyes. And so joy is non-verbal. We use words sometimes, and especially as adults, we use a lot of words. And the more and more we get in education, here I am spending 20 minutes talking about joy. But joy is truly nonverbal because we see it in the face of each other. It's first of all communicated in our eyes and in our smile. This is what a baby sees, right? It has no words. This mom can use all the words that she wants to in any language, but the baby's not going to understand it. She'll understand the face of her mother. And then it's communicated in the tone of voice. Just like you guys said, the second and the third ones had the most impact. And so, da-da-da-da-da-da means just the same as I'm glad to be with you. It's our tone of voice. And this is the amazing part about joy. Because our brains are seeking joy from infancy, it is the quickest thing that our brains can recognize. Our brains recognize joy within 20 milliseconds. And you're paying attention to me right now, understanding the words that I'm saying, is taking 200 milliseconds. So in 10 times the speed, your brain can recognize a face that's glad to be with you. And so it's an incredible speed at which our brains understand and feed and need joy. Okay. The place of joy, you've got a little map of the brain on your paper there. And if you want to circle this area, this is the right orbital prefrontal cortex. A lot of fancy words. It's just behind your right eye. So that is the space where joy grows in your brain. And God's given many graces in this world, some of which we know and we see. The flowers that come out in spring, the sun that comes up in the morning. But I think one of God's greatest graces that he's given to us is this area of our brain. And this area of the brain never loses its capacity to grow. You can always grow new capacity for joy within your brain, which is incredible when we talk about traumas later on. But the capacity for us to grow our joy. If you're living life and you say, I don't think I really experienced that much joy, I have great news. Neuroscience is great news for you. You can grow your capacity for joy throughout your whole life. And we're going to be talking about ways to grow our joy later on. And so I won't get too much into the brain science. There's a lot I can talk about. So if you want to talk more about the brain, so God experiences joy as well. You've got little fill in the blanks for the references here in your notes. Joy, Psalm 16:11 says, you make known to me the path of life, says the psalmist. In your presence, in God's presence, there is the fullness of joy. When the psalmist, when we are in the presence, in God's presence, we can experience the fullness of joy. As we experience his joy with us. Isn't it incredible that the God who made up this whole universe would be delighted to see me and you? That his face would smile. And in fact, talking about his face, the word presence there is actually in the Hebrew the word for face. So in his face is the fullness of joy. Now, we can't literally see God's face, but we can imagine that his face, the face of the creator of the universe, would light up as we turn to him in worship. As we were singing, there's joy in the house of the Lord today. As we turn our praise and affection upon him, we turn to him and we see his face light up. And so in our face, in my face, when I was singing that song, we recognized it. My face lit up, recognizing that his face was light up. In Nehemiah 8:10, we know this verse very well. It says, "Do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is your strength." You see, the source of the strength comes from God. The source of our strength comes from his delight in us. And in the context of Nehemiah 8, they're reading out the book of the law to the Israelites after a generation or so of not reading God's law. And they're brokenhearted over their sin, over the fact that they have been breaking the law in so many ways. And so the people are grieving. And the priests correctly remind them that the joy of the Lord, God is still delighted in you. Also reminds me of Psalm 51, which is not in your notes. But the fact of David's broken heart is a gift that God receives. And the joy of the Lord is with us even as we return in sin and as we feel sorrowful for our sin. That was me this week. God delights in us, bringing us our sin and saying, I messed up again, but I want to be in a relationship with you. He's always ready to be in a relationship with us. Jesus says, these things I have spoken to you, those are his followers, so that my joy, Jesus' joy, may be in you, and that your joy may be full. Would we be full of Jesus' joy in us? Jesus wants to impart his joy, his delight within us, that we would be full of his joy. In fact, even more so, in John 17:11, Jesus is praying to the Father now. I have said these things while I am in the world, so that they may have the full measure of my joy within them. Wow, my joy capacity needs to increase if that's how much joy God wants me to have. And so I can delight in him, I can delight in others to grow with my capacity of joy. And we're going to be seeing that a little bit later on in the neuroscience as well. I think the neuroscience just it amplifies what God has already been saying in the scriptures. It's not saying something different. It's showing us that the same God who wrote the Bible wrote our brains, and those two mesh together really well. And so the fruit of the Spirit, of course, we could sing the fruit salad song, but I think it's significant that right after love comes joy. That God's characteristic, his second most characteristic, at least in this list, is joy. And then Hebrews 12:2, for the joy set before Jesus, he endured the cross. Joy is relational. The joy of being in full relationship with us is part of that motivation, is a key motivation that kept Jesus on the cross. And all of that pain and agony and the ridicule that the cross brought, he endured it easily for the joy set before him, for the relationship with us set before him. And so those are some verses to show that God is fully wrapped up in joy, that he is the source of our joy and can grow our joy. He's created this world for us to experience joy, first of all, in the relationship with our parents. And our brains are built for joy. And so I'm going to show a clip from a movie. Maybe not, because of time. And go ahead. Okay, I've got the green light from good. So this is the first 3 minutes of a movie called Inside Out, which actually the Pixar people did a lot of research in showing in getting this first part correct. I may narrate through it at first, but this is the first 3 minutes of Inside Out. So if you haven't seen the movie, this is the character Joy.
And there she was. Hello. Riley.
Look at you. Aren't you a little bundle of joy?
Wow. It was amazing. Just Riley and me forever. For 33 seconds.
I'm Sadness.
Oh, hello. I'm Joy. So, can I just, if you could, I just want to fix that. Thanks. And that was just the beginning. Headquarters only got more crowded from there.
Very nice. Okay, looks like you got this. Very good. Well, that's her turn. Ah, look out!
That's Fear. He's really good at keeping Riley safe.
Easy, huh? Ah, back. Oh, we're good. We're good.
Ooh,
Thank you.
good
Thank you
job.
very much.
And we're back.
That's Joy.
Here we go. All right, open.
This looks new.
Think it's safe?
What is it?
Okay, caution. There is a dangerous smell, people. Hold on, what is that?
This is disgust. She basically keeps Riley from being poisoned, physically and socially.
That is not brightly colored or shaped like a dinosaur. Hold on, guys. It's broccoli! Well, I just saved our lives. Yeah, you're welcome.
Riley, if you don't eat your dinner, you're not going to get any dessert.
Wait, did he just say we couldn't have dessert?
That's anger. He cares very deeply about things being fair.
So that's how you want to play it, old man? No dessert? Oh, sure. We'll eat our dinner right after you eat this.
Right. Here comes an airplane.
Oh, airplane. We got an airplane, everybody.
Back to Joy.
And you've met Sadness. She... I'm not actually sure what she does. And I've checked, there's no place for her to go, so she's good. We're good. It's all great. Anyway, these are Riley's memories, and they're mostly happy, you'll notice, not to brag.
She replays her memories. All right, so that's the beginning of it. You can watch the rest of it on your own. Ask your supervisors. You can watch it during work hours. But I want to kind of recreate this in sort of a map, which you have in the middle there called the joy map. And in the center, the first emotion that we experience is called joy camp. Joy, that delight, that parents holding their newborn child. So the first experience that we have is that of being delighted in. What a precious gift from God that is for us to be known that we are delighted in by our parents. And this continues in many different areas. And in fact, one of our greatest, so joy is the foundation of our emotional maturity from this case. And our goal over life is to increase the size of our joy camp, to increase the amount of joy that we experience and that we believe is true for us. That people are truly glad to see me, that I'm somebody who can be delighted in. And we can grow that capacity for joy, just like we talked about earlier. But just like in the movie, there's different emotions in our lives: sadness, fear, disgust. Two characters that aren't in the movie Inside Out, but are still large emotions for us, are shame and hopeless despair. And we experience these emotions, and it's part of the role of our parents and the community around us to help us to build a path from these emotions back to joy, and that so that we can walk back and forth between these emotions and come back to joy. And the more and more that we do that, the stronger these connections, these literal neurological connections in our brains become. And some of them are stronger than others, as some emotions are kind of unspokenly not allowed in the house. And so you can see for this character, which I based off of the movie, they don't have a strong connection between sadness and joy. It's kind of their weakest connection. And for these weaker connections, it's easy for a trauma to happen. And a trauma is when we feel isolated in a large emotion. When we feel that nobody's truly there. Somebody may be in the room, but they're not really with me. They're not delighted in me. And a strong experience like this can break the connection between that pathway, between any emotion. In this case, I chose sadness, but it could be any of these, back to joy. I think about the Hulk, and the Hulk, you won't like me when I'm angry. I think he's had a trauma in his early childhood, which has broken that connection between joy and anger, so that he becomes a different person. But I'm getting off track here. So this is kind of a simplification of our emotional maturity as we grow up, and joy is the foundation of our emotional maturity. And talking about traumas, as we try to grow and heal our traumas, the amount of strength of our joy is really important. So you've got a little bar chart there, 2 of them, and in the top one, the lower one is joy. And when our joy is less than the amount of trauma in our life, when we try to go back and heal that trauma, we actually get trapped in that large emotion, whether it's fear, sadness, whatever it is. We get stuck, and we're not able to truly heal from that joy, or from that trauma. However, if we increase our capacity for joy, remember our right orbital prefrontal cortex can always increase, can grow its capacity for joy. So when our joy strength is stronger than our trauma, we can recover from that trauma. I'm part of a leadership collective, which is part of where I got a lot of this information. And one of the men in there works a lot with Muslims, and Muslims who have come over from the Middle East and now live in the States, and they've suffered a lot of trauma. And part of his ministry is to help them in trauma recovery. And the main thing that he does is to increase their joy capacity, is to increase their capacity to understand that they are delighted in, for them to experience the good things of life. And I think that's such an effective door for ministry as well, because who wouldn't want to be around somebody who's glad to be with you and to help them to recover from their traumas, and then to bring the gospel in and to share with them the God who truly delights in them. And so our joy strength can help us to recover from our traumas. So how do we grow our joy? I've got 9 ways for you, mostly because those are the ways that only 9 fit on the page, but there are many more. First one is to smile, is to intentionally, even as we leave this room, to think, as I walk out of this room and I see somebody, I'm going to make sure that I'm smiling with them, that I communicate with them, that I am really glad that they're here, and then using sincere voice tones. Next is to appreciate the things in life. They may be non-material things, such as this lady is enjoying a cup of coffee, a good meal, a nice savory meal. The guy next to her is enjoying the beautiful nature. And those help us to build our muscle of appreciation, so that we can appreciate the people, like this person's writing a thank you letter. Joy is truly relational, but as we appreciate the other things in life, it helps us when we interact with people. Next, we can ask others how they're doing, and then pay attention while we're listening. Sometimes I fall into creating the next question, or thinking of the thing I'm going to say as the other person's talking. That's not truly listening. Listening without an agenda, listening for what they're saying, listening with empathy can help grow our capacity for joy. I think this 4th one is probably the most important. So put a little star next to it, would you? And this is to think back on God memories and good memories. So this is my actual list here. And as you can see, the title is just 1 to 4 words long. And I can go back and I can replay those in my mind. So I'll tell you about the first one. It's called Bali Vacation Stars. So my parents and I had just gone to Bali for vacation. Sounds exotic. It was just next door to living in Indonesia. But it was pretty stressful getting there. The whole day was stressful, from morning until we got there in the evening, and even dinner was stressful. My mom said she's going to the beach, and she came back and said, oh, the sand's really nice. So I decided to go out there so I can remember, and I can close my eyes and I can walk back to the beach, feel the sand between my toes, look up, and there is right in front of me the Southern Cross. And I just felt like God was saying, I've been waiting for you. And just feeling God saying that to me just washes me with peace again, even right now. And I can feel the cool breeze on my body as the wind was blowing, and I can just think about that and relive that moment. And just like in the movie, the character Joy was replaying that ball, that sphere of that memory, we can do the same things. And as soon as I start thinking about something else, I jump on to the next one, and then the next one. And doing this for 5 minutes a day, 3 times a day, for 2 weeks, can reorientate our brains to, instead of anticipating fear, anticipating joy in our lives. And that is a huge shift in our lives. And it's been a huge shift for me to anticipate that this conversation that I'm going to have is going to be a joyful one, instead of how can I protect myself in this. That going to meet new people will be joyous instead of fearful. It's been a huge change in my life. Anticipate the future. The last one was about remembering the good in the past, and this one is kind of the opposite of anticipating the good in the future. What do you have to look forward to? When I go home, I anticipate the dogs are going to be joyful and wagging their tails when I get there, and it just increases the joy of that moment because I'm already anticipating that that's going to happen. Cherishing babies and kids. The Fosdals, Karen Fosdal, who they were part of OC for a while, just had a new granddaughter in Indonesia, and so I got her permission from both grandmother and mother to share this picture. And so she's delighting in their baby. Gil just had this experience to increase the joy, where this baby has not yet done her taxes, hasn't yet helped us to fold the clothes or mow the lawn, but as we cherish those kids, it increases our joy and their joy as well. A website for the number 4habits.org has a number of resources. The authors just finished their trilogy of books, The 4 Habits of Joyful Marriages, Kids, and now just people in general. And they've got a month worth of joy exercises. That's what these pictures are. I've got them at my office to show a small habit for each day that you can grow to increase your amount of joy. And they've got other resources on there like the Joy Switch. And if this is something that you really want to increase, then I encourage you to join me at Thrive Training this year. Thrive Training is an in-person experience-based event to where it increases your capacity for joy and rest, growing your emotional maturity in those ways. And the authors of several books, actually the 2 that I referenced down at the bottom of your page, are there, and they're training, doing physical trainings, not lecturing, but actually doing trainings. And then lastly, let's talk and journey together about this. Let's have conversations about this if you're interested. And I'd love to talk with you as part of my way of serving OC. So thank you very much. May you go out with joy and be led forth in peace.
Thank you so much, Josh, for sharing your heart in that way. Doesn't take very long to catch on just your passion for helping people grow and be healthy in Christ. And we thank you for the gift you are to us. And I can affirm what you were saying just about your presence walking into a room and people feeling that, oh, this is good, that Josh is with us. And we thank you for that gift. For those of you that don't know a lot about Josh, have had a chance to interact with him, not only is he passionate about what he does, but he is extremely well prepared to do it. He's certified in multiple tools with MBTI, strength coaching, and just recently in adult mental wellness. He continues to just study and learn and grow in all of these areas in order to bless us and bless our workers and our missionaries. So thank you so much, Josh, for just the reminder of how joy is supposed to be central to all we do. I just love the chapter of John 15 and just that summary of Christ's invitation to abide in him, abide in his love. And he says he challenges us with all of that, that our joy might be full. And what a wonderful gift that is.